Russia overnight launching a massive drone strike on Kyiv. This after Ukrainian President Zelensky announced a $90 billion arms agreement with the U.S. as President Trump appeared to reverse his position on Ukraine's chances of turning the tide in this 3.5-year war. For the latest, let's bring in Special Envoy for Ukraine, General Keith Kellogg. General, thank you for joining us this morning. I want to go first to the president's post on Truth Social. It really stunned the world. He said, with time, patience, the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started, very much an option. Why not? Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. That last line, maybe go further than that. Are we talking about long-range strikes into Russia soon?
Yeah, first of all, Jackie, thanks for having me, and congratulations on the new program. It's really great. Look, one predicate before we start. You know, this war actually started in 2014 under President Obama when the Russians went into Crimea. And then 2022 when they went in under President Biden. This is not President Trump's war in the sense he has inherited this war. And he's done everything he possibly can do to bring this war to a conclusion. From talking to two major principals to talking to allies. And he's done a wonderful job doing it. But he's really trying really hard. His comments this week that came after UN General Assembly were, and you said kind of changed the landscape. He's always been very, very positive about trying to get to a conclusion. But I think what's happened is the constant information he gets, which is really good, from the intelligence agencies, from Secretary of State, all the way down the line, kind of shows him that Russia is not winning this war. If they were winning this war, they'd be in Kyiv, they'd be in Odessa, they'd be over the Dnieper River. That we added 2 new NATO allies. One of them, Finland had doubled the size of the border the Russians have to protect. We added Sweden, which is a technologically advanced nation, especially when it comes to armament. So this is where I think they have an opportunity to challenge Russia much more aggressively if they pick to do it and they get the weapon systems to do so. They've never asked for U.S. troops. They don't want U.S. troops on the ground. But what they do want is the armament and the ability and the authority to use it. And if they do that, I think it's going to be pretty well received.
Do they have the authority to use it?
Well, it's mixed. Sometimes they get some of the authority, sometimes they don't, and I think very carefully everybody should follow what the president says. He's the commander-in-chief by the Constitution, and everybody falls in line. When the president says go left, you go left. If he says you go right, you go right. That's the president. The last I checked, none of us got electoral college votes. He did. So when the president says to do something, we just need to to do that and complete the action. Look, I think everybody needs to understand the seriousness of this war. This war is the largest war in Europe since the end of World War II. It's between the two geographically largest countries in Europe, with Ukraine and Russia. The casualties are well over 1 million. We're talking hundreds of thousands. They're using the most advanced systems in the world, bombers, missiles, the drone technology. It's really advanced, and sometimes I think we don't realize how serious this is. And my biggest concern is that a mistake can happen, and that causes for a larger escalation, be it the attacks by the drones into Poland or the aircraft that are overflying Estonia, whatever it's going to be. You have to be very, very careful about it. And when I was up at the UN this last week, I talked to the National Security Advisor for the Japanese, Masataka Okano. And he said, hey, by the way, make sure you understand this is internationalized.
Yeah.
And what he meant by that is he said, in our neck of the woods, the Chinese are being very, very aggressive about it, as are the North Koreans. So this is just not only a European issue. This is a global issue. And I think sometimes we forget that, and we should react accordingly.
I just want to clarify. Are you saying, though, that it is the president's position that Ukraine can conduct long-range strikes into Russia, that has been authorized by the president?
I think reading what he has said and reading what Vice President Vance has said, as well as Secretary Rubio, the answer is yes. Use the ability to hit deep. There are no such things as sanctuaries. That's one of the reasons I believe that this last week, and it has been confirmed, that President Zelensky asked President Trump to get Tomahawk missiles, which give you a depth. They're really good systems. America makes the best systems in the world.
Are we giving him the Tomahawks?
Well, that decision has not been made, but he's asked. I know that President Zelensky did, in fact, ask for them, which was confirmed by a social media post by Vice President Vance. That's going to be up to the president to do it.
Okay. General Keith Kellogg, thank you very much for your time. Always a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, coming up next, Turning Point USA's White House correspondent on free speech and political violence. That's coming up.